Welcome back everyone to part 2 of the Tamiya XV-02 online video build. In the last video, we walked you through the suggested tools to complete the kit, as well as the assembly of the steering, front and rear differentials, and shock tower supports. In this video, we install the front and rear suspension, differentials, and center drivetrain parts into the chassis. Okay, let's get started. Go ahead and open bag B and get the parts organized. We suggest a light dab of black grease on the hinge pins to keep the parts together during this part of the installation. Note: pay close attention to the direction of the suspension arms during this part of the install. Once assembled, make sure both suspension arms swing freely. Add a little black grease here to keep the input gear in place. You'll need to spread the two bearings out just slightly to get the input assembly to slip into place. Tamiya also suggests taping the input assembly together, but that's why we added black grease in the prior step. Installing these M3x14mm screws is a lot easier if you swing the steering system out of the way. The lower shock mounting holes are offset slightly on both sides of the rear suspension arms. Pay close attention that you use the correct mounting points on both rear arms. Again, we suggest a bit of black grease to help keep the hinge pin parts in place. Pay close attention to the direction of the suspension arms during this part of the install. Once assembled, make sure both suspension arms swing freely. Build the rear input gear assembly just like the front. Tamiya uses a gear pitch called 06 mod. It's an odd pitch that requires 06 mod pinions, which we have very few of. For this build, we are switching the spur and pinion over to a Robinson Racing 48 pitch, a more common pitch and one that we have a ton of options for. Tamiya includes a 9 and 9.8 mm cross pin in this step. Make sure you don't get these mixed up. This little axle ring is a tricky part to install. Just make sure you don't completely install it initially. You'll need to drop in the 9.8 mm cross pin before locking the axle ring into place. These red urethane bushings prevent the dog bones from floating in and out. A little bit of black grease helps keep them in place during this part of the assembly. Put a dab of Tamiya's included anti-wear grease on the pins of the dog bones prior to assembly. Note that the center spur gear drive cups have a wide and narrow openings on them. Make sure you key the dog bones to the narrow opening. And that concludes part 2 of the Tamiya XV-02 Pro Rally Car Kit build. In the next video, we'll work on the motor install, shock towers, and wrap up with the suspension and drivetrain assemblies. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of future videos in this series. See you in the next video.